Am I the a-hole over breaking up with my girlfriend over a note that a pilot left for her? I'm Mark, 31 years old, and my now ex-girlfriend, Sarah, is 30. We'd been together for 6 years, and I honestly thought we were heading somewhere real. You know, like the whole marriage, house, kids deal. I'm a pretty straightforward guy. I work hard, I pay my bills, and I try to treat people right. I don't believe in sugarcoating things, especially when it comes to uncomfortable truths. And trust me, I just found out a truth that was anything but sweet. This whole mess started innocently enough, or so I thought at the time. We were coming back from a 4-day vacation, flying out of some airport after a decent trip. Nothing spectacular, just a chance to get away. We were grabbing coffee before our flight, and I had to hit the restroom. When I came back, Sarah was smiling, a little too brightly, at some pilot. He was walking away, and she had a crumbled piece of paper in her hand. Now, I'm not the jealous type, or at least I try not to be. I figured maybe it was a flight delay notice or something. She travels a lot for work, like 4 times a month sometimes, so she's always in airports. I asked her what it was, just out of curiosity. She said it was her subway ticket, that it had fallen under the table and the pilot had just picked it up for her. She even had her actual ticket sitting on the table, so I didn't think much of it, but her cheeks were flushed, a little red, you know, and I tried to ignore that gut feeling, the one that tells you something's off even when everything looks normal on the surface. I just brushed it off as nothing. Maybe she was embarrassed, or maybe she just thought the guy was good looking. Whatever. I didn't push it. That was my first mistake, giving her the benefit of the doubt when my gut was screaming. I tend to overthink things, try to logic my way through situations that are anything but logical. I wanted to believe her, wanted to trust her. We'd been together for 6 years. For Christ's sake, you build a certain level of trust in that time, or you think you do. The next morning, it all blew up in my face. I was doing laundry, pulling her stuff out of her pockets, and there it was. A crumpled note, clearly not a subway ticket. It was written in a hurried hand, almost like a doodle. It said, "Drive you like a hammer on a bed of nails." I stared at it for a good minute, my brain trying to make sense of it. A hammer on a bed of nails? What the hell kind of pickup line was that? I pulled out my phone and Googled it. Turns out, it's a line from some Alice Cooper song. Not that it mattered. The meaning was clear as day. The guy wanted to bang my girlfriend. My stomach dropped. That flushed face. The little smile she tried to hide. It all clicked into place. I didn't say anything right away. I just put the note back in her pocket, folded it neatly, and went about my day like nothing had happened. I needed to think. I wanted to talk to her, see what she'd say, give her a chance to explain. I still hadn't decided what to do. 6 years. Man, that's a long time to just throw away. When she woke up, I sat her down. I tried to keep my voice even, calm. "Sarah, we need to talk." She looked at me, eyes still a little sleepy, and I could tell she knew something was up. I pulled the note out of her pocket, unfolded it, and laid it on the table between us. Her eyes widened, and the color drained from her face. She admitted it. They knew each other. My heart sank. But I had to know the extent of it. As much as I hated the thought of it, I asked to see her phone. I know, controlling, right? But at that point, I wasn't trying to apologize for anything. There was evidence staring me in the face. She hesitated for a second, then handed it over. I went straight to her messages. There were chats with him, all right. Nothing explicitly sexual in the texts themselves. Not at first, anyway. Just a lot of flirty banter. Plans to catch up during layovers. She kept denying anything had happened physically, blaming me for her lying. "You're so controlling. Mark, why do you always have to check up on me?" she yelled, even though she was the one caught red-handed. It's always someone else's fault, never their own. That's her classic move. I've seen it 100 times. She weaponizes mental health terms, saying I'm making her feel unsafe or I have toxic masculinity just because I'm questioning her shady behavior. It's a deflection tactic. Plain and simple. She flies a lot for her job. As I said, she explained that's how they met. The plane had a delay due to a storm, and they chatted while waiting. I could picture it. She's charming when she wants to be, and I guess he saw an opportunity. He's better looking than me. Fitter, that's what she told me. Anyway, when she finally admitted they'd been seeing each other, just casual, she said, nothing serious. But she kept begging me not to break up with her. "I only want you. Mark, please," she cried, tears streaming down her face. It was a hell of a performance. I just sat there, arms folded, listening to her sob. I didn't say a word. I felt something behind my eyes, a sting, and I knew tears were welling up. My heart was breaking for her, for us, for everything I thought we had built. But I kept my face a poker face. Not one muscle moved. I wasn't going to give her the satisfaction of seeing me completely undone. Even though, inside, I was crumbling. I loved her. Past tense, I still did. Present tense, which was the stupidest part of it all. But love wasn't enough to override this kind of betrayal. Then came the real confession. The kicker. She finally allowed me to see all her texts with him, hoping that maybe her honesty would make me forgive her. And there it was, in black and white. Texts begging him to kinkily fuck her while he was wearing his uniform. And then, the line that truly twisted the knife, my mouth will be your cockpit. That was it. End of story. There was no coming back from that. 6 years. Gone. Everything we talked about. Everything we planned. Every single memory. Tainted. We live in my house. The one I bought before we even started dating. I told her to move out. Tomorrow. She cried harder, begging me not to throw her out. I gave her one day. She didn't deserve even that. But I'm not a monster. She has parents in a small town. She wouldn't be homeless. She looked at me, eyes wide and pleading. Where will I go? I wanted to say it. That famous line, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. But I didn't. I just looked at her. A 30-year-old woman with a career, travels constantly, yet she's got nowhere to go. She ain't going to the pilot's house. That's for damn sure. She clearly thought he'd take her in, sweep her off her feet. Whatever fantasy she cooked up in her head, only after he told her no. Only then did she start the desperate tears and begging with me. It hit me then, a cold wave of clarity. The reason she was so desperate to stay with me wasn't because she loved me so much. It was because she had nowhere else to go. She couldn't be alone. And my house, my life, was her safety net. She'd been mooching off me, emotionally and financially, without me even realizing the extent of it. Later, I thought about all the things she'd said about me, about us, how I wasn't adventurous enough in bed. I mean, I'm kind of vanilla now, had my wilder days in college, but I never wanted her to do anything niche or out of the ordinary. Our sex life was good. We tried different things. Nothing groundbreaking. She always wanted the princess treatment. Breakfast in bed, constant attention, always being doted on. I tried to be a decent boyfriend, but I wasn't one to cater to her every whim like that on a regular basis. And yet, this pilot, this guy who called her his little bitch and demanded BJ's as a welcome, he was somehow better. She never talked to me like she talked to him, and she would have never accepted such texts from me. I always treated her with respect. She saw misogyny everywhere she went, in every casual remark, every innocent glance, yet she didn't see it in this guy who treated her like a piece of meat. It just goes to show you, what they say they want isn't always what they actually want. They talk about respect and equality, but then they go for the guy who treats them like dirt because it's exciting. It's a game to them, a power dynamic they crave. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I'm learning not to ignore my gut, not to give second chances when the first one was already too much. So, she's gone now, or she will be by tomorrow. I'll be drinking and thinking, for sure, worrying about where she is, if she'll be fine. That's just how my brain works. But I won't change my mind. She betrayed me, and no amount of tears or begging can erase that. It's a hard lesson, but it's one I had to learn. And honestly, she'll be fine, even if she's not. It's not my problem anymore. She wasn't worried about me when she was begging some pilot to use her mouth as his cockpit. I'm left with a mess. Sure, 6 years of memories, now just a pile of ashes. But also, a clear head, a realization that I ignored red flags, that I trusted too much, that I believed I could fix or change someone who didn't want to be fixed. I spent too long trying to be the good guy who understands and forgives, when all she was doing was using that against me. I need to protect my assets, my mental health, my time. This house is mine. My life is mine. And I'm going to make sure it stays that way. This is my home. And she lost her right to be in it the second she decided my respect wasn't enough. I'm taking accountability for my mistakes, for being too naive, too willing to give the benefit of the doubt. But I'm also recognizing when blame is being shifted unfairly. This wasn't my fault. This was her choice. And now she has to live with the consequences of those choices, just like I have to live with mine. I'll figure things out. I always do. The healing will take time, but at least now I know where I stand. I'm not a doormat, and I refuse to be one again. The next day, I woke up before her. The house felt heavy, suffocating. I went through the motions, made coffee, but the silence was deafening. Every creak of the floorboards, every shift of light through the blinds, just reminded me she was still here, albeit temporarily. She finally came out of the bedroom, eyes red and puffy. She started up again, the crying, the begging. Mark, please, just give me another chance. I promise I'll change. It was a mistake. A stupid, stupid mistake. I just looked at her, my face a mask. I didn't say anything. I had nothing left to say. I'd already said it all yesterday. My silence seemed to make her even more frantic. Don't you love me anymore? After 6 years, you're just going to throw me away like this. You threw us away. Sarah, I said, my voice flat. Not me. You did this. She started talking about how hard her job was, how lonely she got traveling, trying to frame it as some kind of justification, like her job stress gave her a pass to screw around. I just shook my head. That doesn't give you an excuse to betray me. Plenty of people travel for work and don't do this shit. She tried to play the victim card, saying I was being harsh, that I didn't understand her. I heard it all, but it was just noise. My mind was already moving on to the practicalities. Your stuff needs to be out of here by tonight, I told her. I'm not kicking you out onto the street. You have family. You have money. Figure it out. That's when she really lost it, throwing a fit, yelling about how unfair I was being. You're such a bitch for doing this. Mark, after everything we've been through, I just walked away, went to my home office, and started making calls, changing locks, canceling shared accounts, figuring out the logistics of untangling our lives. It was tedious, depressing work, but it kept my mind occupied. I couldn't afford to let myself sink into the emotional mess of it all. I had to focus on self-preservation. My future, my peace of mind, depended on it. Later that afternoon, she started packing. It was slow going. She kept stopping, coming out to the living room, trying to talk to me. What about our friends? What are we going to tell them? They'll think you're an asshole for breaking up with me over a note. I'll tell them the truth. Sarah, I said, not looking up from my laptop. Or you can, your choice. But I'm not going to lie for you, or for myself. People will think what they want to think, and frankly, I don't give a damn anymore. She even tried to manipulate me with my friends. We have a shared group, mostly guys I've known since college. She'd always been good at charming them, making herself indispensable. I knew some of them, especially Mike, had seen through her act over time. He'd made comments before, subtle ones, about how she seemed to need a lot of attention or how she was always the victim. I'd always defended her, saying he didn't know her well enough. Another mistake. I should have trusted my boys more. They saw the patterns before I did. I remember a conversation with Mike a few months ago. Sarah had gone out with some of her male friends, always friends, never just guys she was seeing, and didn't tell me until after the fact. When I asked her about it, she blew up, calling me controlling. Mike had just looked at me and said, "Men, you gotta be careful. Some women, they preach freedom for themselves and put you in a cage." I dismissed it then, but it resonated now. He recognized the manipulation tactics because he'd seen them before. She spent the better part of the day dragging her feet, but eventually, her bags were by the door. Her parents were coming to pick her up. It was a small town, so everyone would know. She would hate that. She thrived on social media validation, always posting about our perfect life. Her amazing career, this would be a real blow to her image. Good, she deserved it. When her parents arrived, they looked confused, a little angry even. Sarah, predictably, immediately started crying and playing the victim. He's just throwing me out. Dad, after all these years. Her father, a gruff, quiet man, looked at me, a question in his eyes. I just gave him a steady, unblinking stare. I wasn't going to get into it right there. Not with them, not with her parents. But I also wasn't going to let her control the narrative. I walked over to the door and opened it wider. Her bags are ready. Sir, he seemed to get the message. He nodded slowly, then turned to Sarah. Let's go. Honey. She glared at me, her eyes filled with hatred, a stark contrast to the desperate tears she'd been shedding all day. I stood there, watching them load her bags into their car, watching her get in, watching them drive away, and just like that, she was gone. The house was empty, filled with a silence that, for the first time in hours, felt like peace. The next few days were rough, not gonna lie. Sleep didn't come easy. My appetite was shot. I felt this dull ache in my chest, a physical manifestation of the stress and heartbreak. My work performance dipped. My boss even asked if everything was all right. I just told him I was dealing with some personal issues. Nothing more. I didn't want the drama to bleed into my professional life. I spent a lot of time alone, just sitting, thinking, replaying conversations, looking for the signs I missed, the constant need for attention, the way she'd always want to go out, to be seen, to be admired. The way she'd talk about her friendships with other men, but get annoyed if I even so much as glanced at another woman. The double standards were glaringly obvious now. She'd drain my resources, my time, my energy, my money, while guarding her own jealously, always wanting the princess treatment. But when it came to doing anything for me, it was minimal effort, if any. Our shared social circle started to ask questions. I kept my answers short and to the point. Sarah and I broke up. She cheated. Some were shocked. Others, like Mike, just nodded, figured something was up. Man, she always seemed a little too slick. It felt good to hear that, to know I wasn't crazy for seeing those patterns myself. These guys, my friends, they were a real grounding force. No flowery language, no bullshit, just honest, practical advice and support. It sucks. Man, but you did the right thing. That's what Mike said, and it helped. I also started thinking about the concept of vanilla. She wanted me to be more adventurous, yet she never brought anything truly new or exciting to the bedroom herself, at least not with me. She wanted the princess treatment, and yet she was begging some pilot to treat her like a whore. It was a bizarre contradiction that highlighted the chasm between what she said she wanted and what she actually desired. It made me realize that sometimes what a woman tells you she wants is just a script, and the real desires are far more primal and often hidden. It's a messed up game, and I was clearly playing it wrong. I was trying to be the respectful, stable guy, and she wanted the dangerous, disrespectful thrill. I'm starting to get some clarity now that I'm out of the chaotic situation. It's like stepping out of a fog. I can see the relationship patterns more clearly, how her behavior was consistent, how I kept ignoring it, giving her one more chance after another. I was stuck in the sunk cost fallacy, clinging to the 6 years we'd spent together, thinking that if I just invested more, it would eventually pay off. It never does when the other person is fundamentally unwilling to take accountability. I'm working on rebuilding my life, financially and emotionally. I'm protecting my assets, making sure everything is in my name. I'm reevaluating what I want in a relationship, what kind of person I want to be with, someone who values honesty, respect, and mutual effort, someone who doesn't play games. I'm learning from my mistakes, and while I'm not completely cynical, I'm definitely recalibrating my trust parameters. I'll be looking for red flags I missed before, and I won't be giving the benefit of the doubt so easily. The physical effects are slowly fading. I'm sleeping better, eating more. The heavy feeling in my chest is starting to lift. I'm focusing on my job, getting back into a routine. It's a long road ahead, but at least I'm walking on it with my head held high. I owned my part in staying too long, but I refused to be a scapegoat for her choices. I protected myself, without apology, and that's a win in itself.